So I was about 10 years into my career before I ever stopped to really think about what the definition of health is. Now, mind you, I had an overall definition of health. I was just disappointed in it. And I'm not so sure that I'm so disappointed in the definition of health now. I just don't think it has any straight application to what you and I are trying to do as we become healthy. I remember the distinct thought. I remember I was sitting there and my friend, who was also a trainer at the time, was saying something about health and this pie in the sky thing. And I was like, well, what does health mean to you? And I remember his face. It went blank. He didn't have an answer. Didn't have an answer. And I was like, oh my hell. I am in the health and fitness world and I don't have a working definition of the health. Now, know this. I understand the definition of health. I'll read it to you and let's see if this can help you or anybody you know become healthy. Health, according to the dictionary, is a state of being free from illness or injury. It doesn't even get us in the hunt. And this was frustrating to me, and I started making a game of it. And if you ever want to have a really good time, here's something to do. Go out and ask your trainer, your doctor, anybody in the health and fitness industry, go ask them, what is health? Just say it to them just like that. Hey, I got a question for you. What is health? Watch him. I remember the first guy I was asking after this one guy. I was like, what do you think health is? He talked to me for 20 minutes and had nothing to say. And I just thought this was problematic. I really believed that this was a problem. I'm in the health and fitness industry. I'm helping people become quote unquote healthy, a state of being free from illness or injury. And I don't really know what to tell them how to get there. So this put me on the hunt. Okay? And first thing I did is went to my college textbooks and consulted them, and I was really uninspired with what I found. What I found, though, got me started down the path. So let's talk about what I think health is, or more than that, let's not even try to redefine health. Let's just hope this becomes included in the canon of health. Let's put health out there as something we can systematically go at. Here's what I believe. I believe there are 8 separate and distinct aspects of health. And I believe that the pursuit of optimal health includes becoming balanced, perfectly balanced in all 8 of these aspects, right? Let me make my case to you. When I went to the textbooks, the first thing I found was that the world generally thinks of 3 components of health. There are 3. We all know those, right? Mental, emotional, and physical. I want you to notice how I'm writing this too, because this will come into play in a little bit. But we all know about the mental, emotional, and physical aspects of health. And most people agree that balance is the pursuit. If you're in pursuit of optimal health, you would like balance across, well, you need balance. And then they just leave it there. And that's what sent me on my pursuit was, all right, so balance of what? Okay, mental, emotional, and physical. There can be no doubt those are parts of our healthy experience. And if we're positively healthy, or healthy in an optimal way with our mental and our emotional, we could be both of these and not necessarily be physically healthy, and we have imbalance. Anyway, I believe there are 8. Over the years I have found 8. And before I get into them, I want to talk about this. I don't have to be right about these 8. The 8 have to be right. I have no ego in this. I really honestly don't. If we can find more or fewer, if we can eliminate some of these or add to the canon, I'm in. I'm in. All I want to do is understand the aspects of health and start charging at them in a systematic manner. And here's what I've found. I've found there are 8 aspects. I've found 8. People try to talk me into more. We'll talk about those too. I believe there is mental, emotional health, mental health, emotional health, mental having things to do with the brain as a structure, the way that it's wired, physical structure, mental health, right? There can be things just wrong with your mental health, and it's not your fault, and we know that there are ways of fixing that. Emotional has more to do with the endocrine system, right? How I respond to mental stimulus and others, okay? Emotional, we understand emotional, but social, here's how I understood social health for the first time. A lady one time came into the gym and she was like, I just want my husband to look at me that way again. And in that moment I realized that there was a connection she was trying to make that I'm not positive was completely related to mental or emotional. I get that those are pieces of it, and I know that you do too. But what I know is it is its own thing. Humans are social creatures, right? The only thing that makes us better than the chimps, the only way that we have thrived as a species is the fact that we can communicate and interact with one another. And when you really boil it down to it, the sociologists will tell you, and others will tell you, we need each other. And there's a social aspect of this. So there is a social, and that became one of the things. And forever there were four: mental, emotional, social, and physical, right? Somewhere along the way, I learned about spiritual health. I learned that there's an energy inside each of us. And I won't go into a lot of detail about what that energy is. And one of the things I've learned is it's different for each of us. But there is a spiritual aspect. There's something that belongs to each of us that isn't in the realm of the physical. And it isn't in the realm of the emotional. There's a thing that unites and connects each of us. And there's an energy that lives in each of us. And I'm going to call that spiritual health. And I'm going to leave it to the Taoists and the Christians and such to define that for themselves, and mainly for themselves. But I want to acknowledge it. And I want you to know that if you don't have your spiritual self intact, if you're not working on your spiritual health, I don't believe you can be healthy. Right? I don't. And that's the point. Then it came, and forever there were five, and then the sixth that I came up with for a long time. And I also want you to know this, like, I didn't invent these. I just found them. Right? I just found them. I know that there's a financial aspect to your health. There is. If you have really high finances, I'm in a really cool position because I work with a lot of people on both ends of the spectrum. And one of the things I realize is the more financial success a person has in general, the less of some of the others they have. I've learned that in the physical, and you've seen it too. Sometimes the less of this they have, the less they have in other areas too. It's really tough to stay balanced and to be optimally healthy if this isn't some of a concern. I won't define what that means for you, but I know that it is an aspect. And I know that's something that along with the others, we all have to kind of get together to be healthy. Intellectual health. You ought to be reading. I ought to be reading. Anytime I say you, understand I'm saying this to myself. How to be learning about the things in this world and about the things of each other. And intellectual health, in search of curiosity or in quench of curiosity, is as much a part of this human experience as any of the rest. And it does differ from the others. It does. And I think that we all are in pursuit of that. And I think that's why it's a human right. In the USA, we consider the becoming educated a right. And it does add to the others. And so I've recently come across intellectual health. Lori Hamill helped me find the next one. Lori is a mentor of mine. He owns Salt Lake Tennis and Health, two massive clubs, the Longfellow clubs in Boston. He's really involved in Earth First, and he's involved in Shop Local. What he taught me, and the thing I've come to learn just in the last couple of years, is your environment, where we all live, if it's not healthy, you cannot be. We cannot be. And so environmental health, of course, belongs on the list. And lastly, I want to address this. Physical health is something I always put at the bottom. When I write them, generally, if I have a bigger board, I'll write them in a list. And I always put physical health on the bottom. I know that's the one that I charge, and that's the one that I'm most, I guess that's the one I'm married to the most. But here's why. Here's what I've learned. Physical health is the conduit. Remember the lady that I was talking about earlier? The lady that said, I want my husband to look at me that way again. She was in a gym. She came to a gym hoping to get more emotionally and socially healthy. Why? Why would she head toward the physical to achieve other things? I'll tell you what I think. I think that physical is the only one we can touch. Of these, it's the only one that right now, this second, I can touch. Right? Want me to prove it? Give me 10 burpees right now. Go. The second you start doing your burpee, you are in touch with your physical self. How do you do that with your spiritual self? Some of you will be great at this. I'm not. Okay? But there are spiritual teachers in the world that can help put you in touch with it. And here's the other thing I know. When it comes to learning something, a new skill and ability, when it comes to learning, the more senses I can involve in a learning process, the faster and more effective and more fully I will learn that process. Physical. It's the conduit. It's the reason you and I start doing this exercise thing. It's why the people, when you're going for counseling or you have any sort of a mental deficiency, if you do, sometimes your therapist, the first thing your doctor will tell you, what? Right? Tell me there isn't a piece of this. Here's the other thing I know. That the skills and abilities I learn improving the physical, transfer. They're universal. All of the things I do here in the physical to make it myself better. The stuff, if I change my physical body by next week, I improve my fitness, I do any of that, I now have skills and abilities. I understand things that I can apply to other aspects of my health. That makes, I'll prove it. One of the things that you have to do to become physically healthy is you have to show up every single day. You have to show up and progressively overload your body, on a daily basis, or at least more often than not. You tell me which of these that wouldn't apply to. You get it? Isn't it cool? The physical is the conduit. And that's why at GPP, even though we look like a fitness program, we understand the limits and the abilities of a fitness program. We understand that that's the starting point. That's the only tactile thing. That's the thing I can touch now. That's the thing I can put my hands on. And that's why we've created that comprehensive plan to help you start becoming healthy. Pay attention to that. Understand how we're doing it. Programming. I have it outlined. I know where you're going tomorrow, right? You know where I'm going tomorrow, and that's why you show up. You want to see what we're doing tomorrow. Where would a plan not help you? See? I believe that you can only be as healthy as you have balance among these 8. I believe that. And I think that where you have imbalances, your overall health becomes, well, not healthy. You're not healthy. You can't be. And I know people have perfect bodies, let's say perfect like that, who aren't healthy. I know some people that will sacrifice their financial health in pursuit of the physical. On the flip side of that, I've known a lot of people that chase their financial health at the detriment of the physical. And so do you. Of course we do. The goal then becomes putting it all together and making this optimal health. Optimal health includes all of them, and it includes as much of each other as possible. It's about balance. And remember how they've always said, all you need is balance. The question becomes, of what? For now, that's what I've come up with. Those are the 8. Those are the great 8. I was told once there's one more. Sexual health. Oh, shit. I'm not sure. Anyway, that's what we call the 8 aspects of health. That's what I believe they are, and that's what GPP stands for. So when we put them all together, that's where we come up with our programming. Our understanding of optimal health is where we get our system for programming the physical, programming your fitness, programming the workouts that we do every single day. And so when we do that, or when you do that, that's why you won't see a ton of extra strength training or high ballistic type of moves. As cool as they are, and as much as we admire them too, they're not a piece of your physical health. They're a piece of your physical health at the detriment of some of the others. And that's why we reject some other methods, and that's why we bring other methods in. And I hope understanding this and knowing this helps you understand how I do my programming and why I do my programming and why GPP looks exactly like it does. And I hope that if this helps you, that you'll pass it on to others. Like understand, I've seen this bless a lot of lives, and I'm hoping it's blessed yours. And if it did bless yours, I'm hoping that you'll pass it on to folks and let it change their lives or help them change their lives too. So hit the like, hit the share, and join us every single day right here at GPP.